Welcome. It's been a while, and as you can see, I'm actually back home now, and I have some really good news to share with you all in this video. And that news is that my mother is doing a lot better now. She is actually back home at my dad's house as we speak, and I have been over there for quite some time taking care of her and looking after her, but eventually came back over here in order to go back to work, and while my dad is looking after her now. But she again is doing a lot better now, and she still has like staples in her stomach from the cut that they had to do in order to remove everything that they had to remove, like part of her liver. It was infected, and they had to remove like the mass that was in her stomach, plus her gallbladder had to be removed, and she also had stones in her gallbladder. There was a lot of stuff that they had to do in that area. So she has a pretty big gash in her stomach. However, it's been healing, and they're gonna be removing the staples next week. That's what I've heard. She already has an appointment to go back to the hospital in order to get that removed. She also has a power port installed in her upper left chest. There was a lot of stuff that they gave her back in the hospital that like every hour and 30 minutes, you always had like doctors or nurses, mainly nurses, come in to, you know, check up on her, check her blood pressure, check everything. They would always come in every hour and 30 minutes to check everything and give her medication and all that stuff. But it was a very long and stressful November for my whole family, and obviously me included. But again, everything went good. She went through 4 different operations technically, and they all went without any issues, except for the very first one. There was a very slight issues with that, and that's when they found like inflammation and all that stuff, and they couldn't do what they had to do until that was like cleaned up. Other than that, everything went good. I do have some photos that I actually took that I've been wanting to show you guys, but I'll do that in a little bit. I guess what I really want to say now is thank you for everything. For all of you, thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. Really, thank you for the kind words. And this is the reason why I do YouTube, is because I have a great YouTube community, which is all of you. I really do appreciate it, and I will never forget this. Like, thank you for waiting for me. Thank you for waiting for me to come back. I'm grateful. And that being said, starting this Monday, I'm going to be continuing with my Resident Evil Outbreak. I'm going to be finishing Resident Evil Outbreak starting Monday, and then jumping right into probably Code Veronica, finishing Fatal Frame, and then Versus series of like Dragon Ball Fighters, Soul Calibur 6. I haven't uploaded anything from that, mainly because I haven't had a lot of time to play it. And you know, Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. Well, let's go ahead and just look at some of these photos that I did take. So right here, this is my mom's main hospital. This is like where pretty much she goes for any type of medical issues that she has. It's a pretty big hospital. It's like a 2-story hospital, and it's fairly remodeled. It was recently remodeled, so everything in there is kind of new. However, when with my stay there, it was fairly dark, and hardly anybody was there. It was kind of creepy. Like at the time, I was just too focused on my mother's condition to even like care really about being afraid of a creepy looking hospital. I was expecting like some sort of like a like ghost girl or something appearing there and hunting me down or something. I don't know. Anyways, after that, my mother was eventually had to change hospitals, and we went to a really big hospital called the Via Christi Hospital, and over there in Wichita, Kansas. Very big hospital, a lot of like specialist doctors there that specialize in specific stuff. And this is pretty much where I spent a long time. Like the whole family spent a long time in this hospital. It was a very big hospital and a nice hospital. The lobby was big, and there was like statues and stuff. Like they even had its own church inside this hospital, like an actual church. building inside a building. It was weird. And I've always heard that cafeteria food, according to many, is like kind of crappy, but it wasn't the case in this hospital, in my own opinion. It had a pretty big cafeteria with a lot of food that actually tasted good. The only negative thing about eating here was that it's expensive, but at least it tasted good. Other than that, my mother went through 2 different surgeries in this hospital, and every time she'd go through she'd have surgery, they'd send us to the 3rd floor, because this hospital actually has 8 floors, and the 3rd floor is where they would do like the operations. And on the 3rd floors, we would be sent, the whole family was sent to a waiting room, a surgery waiting room, where at the time, I believe on her first surgery there, it was on a Sunday, so there was really nobody there, and the hospital was kind of quiet on Sundays. They have like these screens everywhere, and it actually tells you like the status of the operations. And then after the surgery was done, the doctor would come in and he would tell us exactly what happened, and if everything went good, or if there were any complications or anything like that. Luckily for us, there was no complications for any of the surgeries that happened in this hospital, so everything went good. And then of course, like during her second operation, it was like on one of the weekdays, and it was just packed, loaded with people, and we were there for like, I think 3 hours. A lot of waiting in the hospital. And then me, I would sleep there with my mom in her room, in her intensive care unit room, where she would always be, and she'd mainly be asleep most of the time, other than the fact that every time the nurse would come in, every hour and 30 minutes, it would wake her up. So this right here is where my mom was staying. This is her room in the hospital. This was on the 7th floor, and you can see her laying down right there. She's asleep. Of course, that's how she mainly spent most of her day, was mainly asleep for the most part, especially after the surgeries that she went through. And she's connected to all the IVs that are giving her the medications. Every hour and 30 minutes, like I said, the nurses would come in and do stuff, give her any medication she needed to, or give her an injection or anything like that. And you can see the chair there on the right. That's where mainly I would sit most of the time. There was another chair that's off the picture. It was more of like a lazy boy type chair. Like I would sometimes sit on that one. It was a little bit more comfortable. And on the far right, there was a like couch bed, and that's where I'd mainly sleep most of the time. The rest of the family would sleep in a hotel that was like not even like 1 block away from the hospital. That's where they would all sleep, and I would be the one that would stay there. And finally, here's a picture of my mother and I. This was taken on her discharge date, and she's holding right there one of the flowers that I bought her down in the gift shop in the lobby of the hospital. I think it's like a Christmas type flower. There was a lot of Christmas stuff there at the time. She has many more flowers. It's on the left side of the room. I just didn't take a picture of it, and that's flowers that my brother and sister and dad and all that got for her. But yeah, this was finally our last day here, and we went back home. It was the long drive back home to my dad's house, to where I would look after my mom for the next few days, because she still couldn't do everything 100%, especially after all the surgery. She was still very weak. But yeah, that's pretty much all the pictures that I took. Like I said, I didn't take very many, mainly because that wasn't my priority at the time. I was mainly all about taking care of my mom, thinking about my mom. But again, thank you so much for watching. If you watched this all the way through the end, I am grateful to all of you, and I am glad to be back, and I'm glad everything went well. So thank you so much for watching. I'm GapraWhiteWood, and you just watched a death count video. And like always, rock on.